this program. And
Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017. And if you're just catching us on YouTube, we're just getting set up. If you hear that feedback in the background, I apologize, but that's part of just our tech setup to make sure that we can actually hear things. So if you're a regular, you know that I can't talk and walk at the same time. So if you just give me a moment, we'll get the link live in the We Get Around Network Forum. And let's see, where's my page? Almost there. May have closed the window that I needed, but we'll get there. Ah, good, here it is. So we will paste this here. I think I hear your VP of Operations in the background.
yeah, he's like I said, it's kind of it's feeding time at the zoo back there at the moment.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to now have us go live in the forum, and we'll check our sound check again there. So you should hear some feedback in a moment.
Okay.
Yep, good. So that's working. And we'll close that window. Good. Hey all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017. And we're going to be live at 5 today. That's just about 8 minutes from now. If you're watching this on YouTube, just simply please fast forward about 8 minutes from now. We have really a great program for you coming up at the top of the hour. I'm going to be speaking with Liam Tayler. Hey, Liam, I know you're standing by for our program tonight, so good to see you. And we're going to be asking, Liam has just bought a Matterport camera, and we're going to be talking to him kind of a little bit about the customer journey in terms of, when did Matterport get on his radar? What kind of research he did? Did he look at anything else? So then when he bought the camera, what was it that was kind of maybe the decisive point of saying, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and buy the camera? And so those are the kinds of questions that I'm going to be asking Liam about. I'm hoping that this program might be helpful to those of you who are you're thinking about getting a Matterport camera and you'd like to hear the thinking of what another member of the We Get Around Network Forum community had to say or think. And then also, if you've just bought a camera, maybe you probably have some of the same questions that Liam has. So we'll go through kind of that discussion. We're just really about 6 minutes away from that. There are some really good topics going on in the forum right now. One of them is very interesting. It's from VTLV in Las Vegas, and he's talking about a challenge that he's having in Las Vegas because his MLS, I guess, is disassociated itself with publishing to Realtor.com. And so he's asking some questions about how that might be affecting him, or sharing some information, and if that might be affecting others. Are there any other MLS that are not publishing to Realtor.com? So the subject on that is another Matterport feature loses its legs. So if that's something of interest to you, I encourage you to check out that discussion, contribute to it, be part of the discussion. He's also, VTLV is also asking about what WordPress theme that you're using for your photography site for your Matterport service provider business. He's actually looking for another theme to use other than what he's presently using. So he's just kind of seeking some input on that. There is a discussion about Google Street View meets Matterport. That's titled Wired Upgraded GSV Camera. I did start a discussion about PhotoSpark. It's an image enhancement service. It's by our member, We Get Around Network member at John Javier. And the discussion is about a Matterport service provider who's wondering if he can use the Matterport camera, either the Pro 1 or the Pro 2, to generate snapshots to provide to his real estate agent clients. Now, he understands that that is technically possible, but he's not really happy with the quality of the images. He's looked at the PhotoSpark retouching of images, and he's kind of asking for input. I've kind of given some before and after examples that I've used. But I'm not a real estate agent, so he's hoping to hear from some real estate agents that are using Matterport snapshots in conjunction with running it through the PhotoSpark image enhancement service. So I'm not sure that I've explained that well enough. So let me see if I can just kind of frame that again. I know that We Get Around Atlanta is happy about providing Matterport Pro 1 snapshot images as long as we have them enhanced by PhotoSpark in terms of the color saturation, cleaning up some things like wires that are connected to a TV set, just the normal standard things that you do editing a photo. We happen to like to outsource it. PhotoSpark takes care of that for us. And so while we're happy, We Get Around Atlanta, again, he's looking for those of you that are maybe you're a photo, maybe you're using a Pro 1 or a Pro 2 camera plus PhotoSpark in order to say, yes, you're happy with the image quality. I suppose in conjunction with that, maybe you might be not a real estate agent, but you're a Matterport service provider and you are using PhotoSpark, that service from @JohnJ. If you might comment to that discussion, that would be great. That discussion is titled PhotoSpark Image Enhancement Service. Anyway, we're just about 2 minutes away from our live program today. Just a couple other notes. Matterport's offering $400 off the Pro 2 3D camera to those of us that bought the Pro 1 camera but haven't taken advantage of this offer, and they'll do one camera for each camera that you've ordered. Now, I believe what's a little bit different about this $400 off offer is I recall, I may have this wrong, but I recall when the first $500 offer was offered, yeah, I guess the $500 was offered to anyone that owned a Matterport camera. And today the offer on the table is $400 off a Pro 2 3D camera if you are if you've owned a Pro 1 Matterport camera and you haven't yet upgraded. Now, as far as I know, anyone, let's go take a look at the Matterport website. Anyone can buy the Matterport camera. Yeah, with the $300 off, it says limited to first 200 customers get $300 off the Pro 2 3D camera, limited to first 200 customers. Interestingly, that offer I think has been up for certainly at least 2 weeks, if not longer. So they either have decided to keep it up beyond 200 customers, or literally they have not gotten 200 customers in about the last 2, 3, 4 weeks since that offer was made. There's nothing in the offer today that we talk about in the forum, the $400 off, that says you can't combine it. I would imagine that you can't, but if I was you and I was doing the upgrade, I'd ask for the $300 off and the $400 off. And if you do that and you're successful, please do let us know. If you're unsuccessful, please let us know that as well. So we're just really just about 30 seconds away from getting started with today's program. So Liam, if you're good, I'll cue it up here and get started.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. So in 5, 4, 3. Hi, I'm Dan Smigrod. I'm the founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017, and you're watching WGAN TV Live at 5. Our guest today is Liam. Hey, Liam.
Hi there.
Hey, is Liam Tayler. He is a soon-to-be Matterport service provider, soon-to-be a Matterport Pro in Nova Scotia, Canada. And I thought it'd be fun to talk with someone who's just bought a Matterport camera. So, Liam, I think we exchanged emails last week. I think you had just bought your Matterport camera, but it hadn't yet arrived.
Yep, that's right. No, it's still en route. I was talking to them today. I just wanted to follow up since they got my email address wrong, so I didn't receive any updates. But at that, I've just received an email now, and that's all in hand. So yeah, anticipating arrival sometime later this week.
Awesome. So let's talk about the beginning. When did Matterport first get on your radar?
Well, we recently bought a cottage here back in September, and whilst I was going through real estate sites, I did start thinking about how to get better information on the properties that we were looking at. There's a page called Viewpoint here in Canada, and they don't include any videos. And I did notice that photos taken of this property were done using a drone. So I thought, well, hang on, let's look into what else is available out there. And I can't remember if it was a Facebook ad or whether it was a Google ad that I clicked on, but I found out about Matterport, and it was a concept that I didn't realize had hit the mainstream yet. And that's when I started doing my investigations. So it probably started in September this year.
Cool. And so you began your research. Was this an instant decision? Did it take you, if it was September and you ordered it maybe last week, it sounds like it's taken you at least 30 or 45 days?
Yeah, it's taken about a month. Just over a month. I mean, there are a few additional, let's say, career options that I was evaluating. So it wasn't purely the fact that I was umming and ahhing. I have started a number of businesses in my day, so I like to do my due diligence, but I also had a couple of other potential offers on the table. So there was an element of that, but I did really want to look into what the future of this is, because having worked with technology in the background before, I'm aware that things move very fast. So yes, I did a fair bit of research.
Mm-hmm. And what were you hoping to learn in the course of doing your research?
The first one was the market. So I began talking to potential customers. So I started talking to real estate agents, asking them for information on whether or not this was a service that they thought would be appropriate and valuable to them. What problem was it solving for them? And specifically because I'm in Nova Scotia, so I'm in a fairly rural area here, whether or not this is the right environment for this sort of technology, or is it going to go over everybody's head? So that was my primary point of contact. It was evaluating whether or not there was actually a need. So I spoke to a few real estate agents, and they all got very excited about it. And then I began to explore outside of real estate. I mean, the real estate market is obviously one that's highly discussed, and it's obviously the first market that everyone thinks about. But there are a number of other markets as well that I really wanted to do some research into. And that's for a number of reasons, but we'll probably come on to that later. And step two was to see, okay, so what's the competition? So once I evaluated whether or not there was a business opportunity there, it was then to evaluate, okay, well, who are my direct competitors? And I have to say that I got in touch on the Matterport website. I put down, I'm interested in talking to other Matterport service providers in my geographical area. And they automatically sent me out a number of different contacts. And I spoke to three, each of whom was very, very happy to talk to me, very happy to talk about the potential in the market. Interestingly, one who was on the cusp of deciding to sell his camera, and that actually we started discussing that because he wasn't sure about the cutthroat element of the market being a realtor. And I spoke to two other individuals as well, both who helped me come up with a decision. And also, interestingly, you talk about PhotoSpark. I actually got a call. I put out a touch base with PhotoSpark about the technology behind add-on products. And he gave me a call back, and we had a great discussion for probably about 40 minutes. And he was very open about the market and the potential. And
that's John Javier in the forum known as at John J.
Correct. Very friendly guy, really open, and he gave me a bit of insight and confirmed a couple of elements that I had already come to understand, but he really cemented a few things for me.
Mm-hmm. So if we go back to the real estate agents, where interestingly you were asking the question, essentially, what problem are you solving for them? What conclusion did you come to as what problem you could solve for them?
With regards to where we are in the location and real estate, we have a lot of summer visitors. We've got a lot of tourism up here. And I believe that one of the key aspects is giving remote access to properties and immersive access to properties to, let's say, individuals looking to buy property in Nova Scotia from the US. So that was one that popped up. And another one was local Nova Scotians. And I have to say this, a lot of the people who I spoke to seem to consider the 3D tour as a bit of a gimmick, which I think absolutely, it's something novel, it's something exciting, it's something different. And the real estate agents I spoke to, they may not see a whole lot of inherent value in it now, but I think once they see the capacity, then they'll warm to it. And to everyone here, this technology, they thought it was completely unavailable, but they now realize that actually this is a relatively financially accessible add-on that that will help me sell my properties.
Mm-hmm. If you've read anything at all in the We Get Around Network forum, I usually talk about helping win the pitch from a photographer to a real estate agent is helping a real estate agent win more and bigger premium listings more often, as opposed to we can help you sell your house faster, or it's 24/7 open house, or look at this dollhouse view or something. Nothing about that it's all about helping them get more business more often, getting bigger listings. Do you think that that's true for you as well, or no?
Absolutely. It's a premium offering. This is not, you look at the average sale price of a house in Nova Scotia here, you're looking at, in the rural areas, $150,000. That's Canadian. So we're probably looking at 100,000 US. So, I mean, you really need to be able to sell it as a defining element for a prestigious property. And the main realtor I've got interested in my product is actually beginning now listing with Sotheby's. So mm-hmm. These are high-end properties, and I want to be able to offer her the full gamut of service offerings. Mm-hmm. So I am going to be offering as well photography, and I do have someone I can initially offer some drone pilotage as well.
Mm-hmm. Video part of what you're planning to offer?
Yes.
And you mentioned houses for 150,000. I'd say hopefully you go ahead and shoot a lot of these places sooner than later, because 150,000 Canadian, I'm there. Maybe the temperature may be a little bit of an issue perhaps for my wife and I, but to buy a house for 150,000 that Canadian, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, there was actually a marketing. It was I obviously I don't want to get political in this, but there was a marketing term up in Cape Breton, which is just the far side of Nova Scotia, and I can't remember what it was, but they basically said, Americans, if you want to come up to Nova Scotia, come up to Canada, come live with us. And they got, I don't know, I think they collapsed the website because of the value of the properties there. And that's,
Yes.
I have to say, it's one of the reasons why I'm here as well.
Yeah, so hopefully when you introduce Matterport 3D tours, that you will be collapsing the Sotheby's website with so many new people coming to tour the properties there, and that the real estate agents at Sotheby's are just fighting among themselves to be the one that you're shooting their properties today.
Interestingly, they already knew about Matterport.
So well, this is kind of interesting. Did you have any sense about why they decided not to buy a camera and do it themselves?
Because they use a network of affiliated agents, as I understand it, they don't want to be the ones going around the houses. They just want to make sure they get the prestigious listings.
Mm-hmm. I just ask because Matterport pitches real estate agents as well as photographers. So just curious if they had already made a sales call on Sotheby's I say Nova Scotia. Is there something even more particular where you're located? Nova Scotia.
We're in the South Shore of Nova Scotia.
South Shore. Okay. So anyway, I was just curious if that was an issue where you felt like you might be finding out what problem that you solve for a real estate agent, maybe help them conclude that it's winning more and bigger prestigious listings, and then for them to say, thank you, Liam, for telling us this, we're going to go buy a Matterport camera.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of elements within the forum on that, and a lot of discussions, and how Matterport has actually come in. And I think there was one in the UK where they actually, in the UK we call it gazumping. They actually gazumped a guy by offering to do the deals, and I think it was a car dealership or something with him instead of him. And I mean, the thing we have to bear in mind, there's always going to be competition. And a lot of people on the forum have reinforced the fact that anyone can buy a camera, but it's operating it, marketing it, and adding value to that, which is the key. And that's one of the elements that I'm very aware of. I actually noticed that there were a few Matterport videos within a few realtor sites within Nova Scotia. And one this afternoon that I clicked on, it said, come and have a look at our 3D tour. I went straight in, they had one room. And it had been done badly, there were black spots, it was a mess. And quite frankly, that's the sort of thing that gives me a little bit of hope that people who do it properly, people who are going to incorporate matter tags, people who are going to add value by talking to PhotoSpark, getting the 3D renderings of empty spaces, people who are looking at alternative markets, that's where the long-term value lies.
So you did actually run into Matterport Spaces 3D tours that were being used for some listings in Nova Scotia, though you were a bit concerned about the quality, which I guess you interpreted as an opportunity rather than somebody perhaps saying, oh, I've done that, I don't like the way it looks, and for you to have to clean up behind that.
Yeah, interestingly, I got the name of the realtor. I'm going to be getting in touch with him and asking him what happened, because it doesn't give a good perspective on 3D imaging, but also again, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, for We Get Around in Atlanta, we do set a minimum because we do get asked that question, can you just do the living room and maybe a bedroom or something? And our answer is always going to be yes to anything, but we're going to charge for that yes and let people decide no for themselves. anyway, something to think about when you get asked that question, to say, yeah, but can you just do the, the one room? Are you, it's probably too early in your journey to even give some thought to that, but that's what occurred to me. Gazumping. I don't think that that's a term that that if you Googled that, if you use the search box in the We Get Around Network forum, I don't think that that's actually going to pop something up.
Yeah, it's not a tag, I think, that's in there yet.
But it sounds like you've been actually looking, because you're talking about discussions that go way back. So have you been using the forum for a while, the We Get Around Network forum, to do some of your research?
Absolutely. And I think the biggest element that I've been using your forum for, and it's one of the reasons why I'm going to become a member, is the pricing side of this. Now, I mean, it does seem like, at least in the US, where you've got a specific density of Matterport providers, it's looking like a race to the bottom at the moment. Again, it's about maintaining the quality of your offering, add-on products like the drones, like the 2D plans, like the rendering and the what's it called, the staging. But and I think it's going to happen. I think it will be. I think everyone and their uncle at some point is going to have a 360-degree camera. We're in the not too foreseeable future. So it's something to very much bear in mind of. But I was trying to figure out the pricing. So, and the guys I spoke to here in Halifax in Nova Scotia, again, were very open, gave me ballpark ideas. And again, the forum was very useful to find out how people were looking at different options for pricing, whether people charge for hosting, whether or not it's an upfront fee. There were some guys, there was one individual there who put up a contract that we could download for pricing on the sale of a property. So, I mean, that really is, that's the one thing that I'm still not 100% sure on, is for all the different elements and for all the different client types, exactly what pricing structure I'm going to go for. Mm-hmm. And I sent out a couple emails this afternoon, just asking for a bit of guidance on that.
Mm-hmm. Now, since you are a We Get Around Network forum member, which is how we met, have you had a chance to look at the guide to Matterport service provider pricing curated by We Get Around?
Is that the dial one where you move the dials and you?
No, there actually is one of the like 14 or 15 free membership benefits simply for being a member of the We Get Around Network forum is the guide to Matterport service provider pricing curated by We Get Around. The guide includes direct links, deep links to more than 100 Matterport service providers web pages. So it includes going to the front page of a Matterport service provider, but it also includes, if there is a deep link to get to the pricing page, it includes that. So we try to make it easy for you to click through to get to a lot of, and it's organized by country, then by state, and then by city. I don't know if we have too many service providers in the guide in Canada, but at least it would give you a reference point are people charging by the square foot or square meter, or are they charging by tier of square foot, square meter, or are they charging yet some other way?
Yeah, I saw links to that, and I thought it required a password, which I didn't have. So I thought it had to be a paid member.
You get a free 30-day pass as a forum member. As a basic, standard, or premium member, you get unlimited access to the guide, as well as the We Get Around Training Academy videos, about 100 hours plus. And
I saw those.
Yeah. So,
strange. I thought I needed a password there.
You do. So I've made a note, and when we finish up, I'll send you the password so that you have access to the guide to Matterport service provider pricing.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. So then, when you visited with some of the potential competitors in your backyard, did that give you any angst that the market in your area is already saturated?
As I said, I think the market is going to become saturated. I don't think it is when I look at the fact how much construction is going on here. And when I look at the real estate market, there are 5 within Nova Scotia at the moment. And I think, again, it's not so much creating a competitive environment. We should be creating a collaborative environment when it's only that amount of people. So as I said, we're collaborating and potentiating a new market here. And it's all about education. Marketing, in my experience, is all about education. Now, the realtors I spoke to who were down here on the South Shore, they had no idea this was even possible. They thought it was outrageously expensive and something that would never interest them. But we've got properties down here that are selling for 3 or 4 million. So this is exactly the sort of quality offering that we need to put those properties on the map with.
Do you have enough? Are there enough 3 to 4 million Canadian dollar properties to that if you could shoot whatever percentage you think of the market you can get, that there's enough of those properties?
I think there are at the moment. I think that there isn't much churn with these properties. They're not the quick sellers, but I think people get very, very focused on the real estate market. Mm-hmm. And yes, that is the first market that people immediately think of with regards to tours. But there's a lot more to it than that. We have a huge, because it's a very much a holiday destination here. Mm-hmm. We have a huge requirement for rental properties. Everybody I know has a cottage that they rent out here. I mean, literally every single family here rents somewhere. So that is one option. Resorts, they are another option. We have retirement homes, aplenty here. They would be a perfect customer. I mean, I've been going through my business model and trying to figure out boats. We get a lot of big boats. I mean, the reason I'm here, I was on a tall ship and I sailed for Canada, and here I stayed. So rental properties, entertainment, hotels, resorts, restaurants, bars, museums, art galleries. One very interesting feed again on the network I saw today was about museums who have exhibits that are only there for a certain period of time. So why not make sure that you have a Matterport scan of that exhibit? They can keep it on the website. And then even when the exhibit's gone after 6 months, you've still got that offering for people going to the websites. We've got a brand new, I want to say, child-friendly museum here in Halifax, that basically a science museum, and getting a walkthrough of that would be fantastic. Vehicles, again, we have top-end vehicle salesmen here. I've spoken to a few. When I showed them, there was a link that a forum member put up of a fantastic looking vehicle. I can't remember what it was now, but I sent that link to a couple of my friends there who sell vehicles, and they fell over themselves. So now it's a case of identifying what markets are out there and figuring out what the best way of making contact with them is. Mm-hmm. And I have every intention of collaborating with the other guys who have Matterport cameras in Nova Scotia, because it's far too small an environment to start making enemies and creating price wars. Mm-hmm. I think the rule is, in the world, there are 7 points of separation between every individual. Yeah, no. In Nova Scotia, it's 2, if not less. So it's something to be very aware of.
So 7 points of separation.
So you'll know someone who knows someone.
I'm trying to remember the celebrity that's tied to that. Is you're just 7 people away from
a celebrity.
I forget. So you're only two links away from that celebrity. Mm. Incidentally, you'd mentioned you were doing some research in the We Get Around Network Forum. I am curious how you discovered the forum.
Through one of the other Matterport service providers.
Had shared that with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd done research, but I'd seen it come up in the Google links on the page, but I hadn't gone in. And he said, you have to go and have a look at this forum. Any question you have that I can't answer, they'll be able to help you. And you have.
I think there's about 40. I'd have to look and see what's on the front page right now. But there's the knowledge base is 41,000 posts among 5,600 topics. So we've been at this for 3+ years, and so I would probably describe it as the world's largest database, knowledge base on questions. So I do encourage you to use the search box within the forum. It's powered by Google.
Yeah.
So most people, maybe this is maybe not a fair question, or statement, but I think that most of those that are buying cameras in the forum, they're a photographer and they're adding Matterport, or they're a real estate agent or broker and they're adding Matterport to do their own listings and likely also to offer it to other companies. Then there's a whole category of I'm a property management company and we have a gazillion listings and we want to shoot our own listings, So I don't believe that you fit into any of those. You're like the other category.
No, well, I'm kind of a unique. I came into this for two reasons. My history. Historically, I've been very in the technological world, but also in marketing. And I believe that this 3D technology combines the two. And I also don't want to focus in on one market specifically. It's not a risk, but one of the things that I have noticed in the forum, and I've noticed it in the cameras, the price is dropping. You yourself mentioned, $500 discounts, $400 discounts. These cameras are going to become very accessible to everybody. So it's a case of creating a market there that you have something unique to offer. Now, you mentioned a lot of real estate people. So who else is out there doing crime scenes? Who else out there is doing resorts? So it's about identifying a niche and making sure that you meet that niche. And that's without having the camera, without playing with it, without a little bit of experience. Obviously, I am coming into this very green, but I do believe there are certain niches out there that are really going to be able to use this technology.
I do have some concern because it seems like most of the members of the community that are super successful with Matterport, it's kind of like, would you like fries with this? You've been a photographer. They've been a photographer for 20 years. They're offering photos, videos, maybe aerial. Clients are starting to ask about Matterport, and they say to their client, hey, if I get this Matterport thing, are you in? Or maybe actually propose some pricing so that they can commit to something, so you actually know that they're in. And then I think the second category is people that already have trusted relationships in the spaces that they intend to do business, meaning maybe they worked in a firm that was an architecture, engineering, construction, AEC space, and therefore they had a kind of a deep and trusted network to either reach out to for those to either ask for business, or to ask for trusted referrals. And I think listening to you, tell me a little bit about, yourself. My sense is you're new to Nova Scotia. You're not a photographer. You're not a real estate agent. And I'm looking for, do you have deep connections of trusted relationships in your market? And I think I'm hearing you're somewhat new, and therefore you're starting from scratch there as well.
No, I've been in Nova Scotia now for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I do have some fairly trusted relationships in the niches that I'm going to be going into. But I wouldn't have I've also done a number of business plans, and although I am not a real estate agent, because I'm not already within the market, I think it gives me a perspective that will allow me to see other opportunities. Now, you're absolutely right, an add-on offering. So I do like I do amateur photography. That's absolutely fine. When I hear the average Nova Scotian realtor runs around with their iPhone and takes photos, I'm now, I've been doing pricing now, and I've done some courses for interior photography with wide angle lenses on a DSLR. So that is something that I'm going to be able to offer. The drone, again, that's another service offering for that market. And each market requires a different product. So with the real estate market in Nova Scotia, there's a dearth of understanding of what technology is out there. As I mentioned, it's education. So one of the things I'm going to do when I become proficient with the camera is to organize, and I have contacts within resorts, to organize some educational events whereby I'm taking part in real estate forums where I will explain what the opportunity is and what the benefits are to the clients. Now, and the clients being the realtors, by default, the individuals trying to sell their properties. So the real estate market is one that I am interested in getting into. And as I mentioned before, I think offering a full service such as drones, 2D images, 3D rendering with staging for empty properties, and also the Matterport tours and video, I think that as an offering in itself will set me apart as fairly unique. I don't actually know anyone who's offering that. And those who are realtors who are buying their own cameras, they're going in it for themselves. They're just going to go in and they're just going to do those individual 3D tours.
Hey all, if you're just tuning in, I'm Dan Smigrod. I'm the founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017. You're watching WGAN-TV live at 5, and our guest today is Liam Tayler. Liam is a soon-to-be Matterport service provider in Nova Scotia, and I want to say in the south side of Nova Scotia, Canada. So, Liam, thanks again for being with us today.
My pleasure.
So, I guess part of what I'm hearing is that makes perhaps you unique. What's special about you, because you're not coming with, I have a book of business as a photographer. I have, I do 10, 20 listings a year. I'm in a group of agents, etc., is about your marketing. You came to this first as a marketer, as opposed to a photographer. You're probably attracted to Matterport because of the photography, I suspect, but still, you have a methodical process that you want to go through as a marketer. And I was excited to hear that the first thing that you were doing was customer discovery, about trying to identify what problem could you be helping your potential clients solve. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your background, what you've been doing, before you decided to buy this camera and set up a business?
Well, most people tend to have a career path. I've more had a career meander. I started out as a marine biologist. I then got into financial accounting software. I was a financial software consultant. I was then IT manager for a reprographics company. I then did an MBA. And I did that in Spain, where I started up a couple of companies, one which was post-MBA, one which was an online marketplace, a lot like Amazon's model is now, where they have a number of merchants selling through one site. And I also started up an online promotional gifts, unique promotional gifts company. And then in 2008, we had a bit of a financial crisis. My biggest customers, such as Google, incidentally, Endesa, the power company, everyone just slashed their promotional budgets. And I decided to move on from Spain. And I moved with my then partner to West Africa, Ghana. And there I started up a networking company, and I started up a consultancy, business consultancy company. I left Ghana in 2010, and I decided that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my life, but I didn't want to go back to Spain, and I didn't want to go back to the UK. And so I got on board a tall ship as a trainee, and I sailed around. I did a circumnavigation of the globe on a tall ship called the Picton Castle. And whilst doing that, I fell for the third mate. And she, after the voyage, after being at sea for 18 months, she informed me that I would be moving back to Nova Scotia with her. At which point I thought, oh, okay, never been to Canada before, we'll give this a shot. So I then sent an email out and said, I'm moving to this small town in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia. And I got an email back from a colleague of mine who I met in Ghana, who said, I'm in Nova Scotia now. And so I became part of a company out here called Haskapa, which is a berry company. And they happen to need someone with marketing and business experience. And I became, my title was commercial director. And I launched a new berry into Canada. And I promoted that berry until I felt the time came for me to move on, which was with the birth of our third child. And that was December last year. So here I am now with an experience in marketing and technology. And this seems like a nice melange of the two, really, a nice combination of the two. And I also identified a number of needs here that, as you point out, the market is developing very quickly. I feel that it is going to be a need that people are going to start fulfilling by buying their own cameras as the price comes down. But the technical and the education side of things, they're not going to be there for some time yet, which will allow us to introduce this fantastic new 3D imaging to the market properly and identify different niches within it that can be supported.
Congratulations on your 3 kids, and a fascinating story about how you met your wife, or your mate. Your mate is
Yep.
your third mate is now your first mate, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Well, no, she's the captain.
She's the captain.
Absolutely.
Yes. No life without wife, as we say in our household. Marketing, having an MBA, I'm hearing entrepreneur. So you're always looking, interested in new things, trying new things, getting started in new things. Sounds like since you've been there for 7 years, that you've established some roots, and that you probably know a lot of people who would probably be thrilled to be able to help you succeed faster by making some introductions. Yeah.
No, it's not just the contacts you make, it's about getting the word out there. A lot of people aren't aware. Property, if I was going to be selling my house tomorrow, if I hadn't done the research that I was doing for the last month or so, I would have no idea that actually for a matter of a minimum of $500, say, I can get a 3D walkthrough tour of my own property done by an individual who's trained up on the camera, who can also offer me other options such as the 2D plans, 3D snapshots, high quality images. I wouldn't have known that at a price that's accessible. So it's about getting that message out there that this is something that is accessible, not just to the mega wealthy, but also to people who have maybe a little bit of income, but also who maybe want to sell, and I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot here, maybe want to try and sell the property on their own, which is yet another niche within the real estate market. And I think one of the elements that I mentioned within your forum was property guys. And the property guys came back and said, we would love to have more people getting 3D tours on their website. So yes, it's about getting the message out there, and that's pretty much what where my strengths lie.
Mm-hmm. You know, my sense you've already come to the conclusion that if and when there is this race to the bottom, that those who will succeed are the ones who are able to perhaps make their competition irrelevant by offering a bundle of services for one-stop shopping, so that I think so far you've identified that you don't have any competitors for aerial, if I'm not mistaken.
Competitors for drones, there are people doing it,
but they're not Matterport, so they're not a one order Matterport drone video photos, aerial photos, providing two-dimensional schematic floor plans, providing video, perhaps providing enhanced photography, nicely edited images to bring out the color, etc.
Exactly.
So that sounds like quite an ambition, because I think what I'm hearing is that this is not the business that you've been in. You love photography. That's been one of your passions. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of simultaneous training or education all at once, meaning you're working on soon to have the Matterport camera. Then you're learning how to shoot real estate. I think you're learning how to shoot real estate both for photos and video. You're in the midst of learning aerial? You have a drone or about to get a drone?
No, I think, well,
or subbing that out?
There are certain courses you need to do now in order to get a license. So I'm partnering with an individual who already has that. Now, one of the other elements that comes off the back of your comments there is, I mean, Nova Scotia is a very large place, as the US is. How do we, if we market this, how are we going to actually, I don't want to drive for 5 hours to go and do someone's house. They're not going to want to pay me the mileage. I don't want to try and get the drone guy up there if that's the way things go. Doing the drones myself at some point might be potential, but not right now. It's a case of creating, I think, a network of MSPs so that we have the capacity to cover the whole area of Nova Scotia in a collaborative fashion.
Yes, and I should at least point out, we get around network. We're happy to provide free referrals to you all day long, make it super easy, super fast to find a pro that meets your needs as you have opportunities come up that are perhaps not within driving distance.
Yeah. Oh,
so we're happy to help you on that. So I think you brought up a really good point. I want to be careful. I don't say it's necessarily a weakness of yours, but that you don't have the license to be an aerial drone photographer. So the path that you've chosen is a strategic alliance. Yeah, and I would say that what a great thing is to say you don't have to build everything from scratch. If you don't offer something, it's not your expertise. Even creating two-dimensional floor plans. Okay, this is how I'll get those. I need photo editing. Okay, I'm not taking a master's class and becoming a Lightroom expert. There's a Photo Spark, for example, that provides that service. So it sounds like what you're doing is saying, what products, solutions, services, whatever, do I want to be able to offer the clients? Which ones will I provide directly, and which ones will I form alliances with or have subcontractors to provide that, so that a client doesn't have to think about, Liam, okay, I order Matterport from him, I order schematic floor plans from whatever to Blue Sketch, MP2 FP. I order virtual staging from PhotoSpark, or I order virtual staging from Blue Sketch, and so all of a sudden it's like, this is way too hard to
Yeah.
do this as a client, but if you make it super easy to be able to place one order for many services.
Yeah, the ones, when it comes to the real estate client base and the real estate target market, being a one-stop shop makes their lives easier. And it's the old adage of being a jack of all trades but a master of none. You want to be very careful. You don't try and do it all yourself. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. I'm guilty of saying, hey, I can do a website. I'll build my own website. Oh yeah, photo editing. Yeah, I know Lightroom. I know Photoshop. I can go in and do that myself. But it will take me longer to do it. It'll be less cost effective than having a contact who does it for a living and who I can negotiate a good price point with, and who I can try and form alliances with, like you say, collaboratively rather than competitively.
When you were doing your market research with potential clients, did you ask any to actually place an order with you, or just simply too soon? Or I always wonder about this like, well, somebody says, oh, that's really exciting. Yeah, I'd love to do business with you. I know I talked with one photographer who actually bought 2 cameras based on so many real estate agents saying, oh, we love this, we love this, we love this. And then he found when he went back and actually said, okay, I know how to shoot. I'm up and running in business. Here's my rate card. How can I help you win more listings, bigger premium listings? And and it didn't happen for him.
No.
So do you have any trepidation that your discovery was, yes, there seems to be a problem that you can help with, but when you actually ask them for an order, you may not get that friendly response that you originally got?
I would anticipate about a 20% follow through rate. So, and that may be a little bit optimistic, frankly. If I talk to 10 realtors who say, yes, it's something they're interested in, maybe I'll get 2. It's about focusing in on where you can really add value to those realtors. And it's also the example you used there, there's a lot of risk in focusing on one niche market.
Yeah.
And it's, at least whilst I'm finding my feet, because as you say, I'm new to this, I don't have the contacts, this is going to be an upward battle. That's absolutely fine. I've got no problem with that. I want to be able to say, okay, well, real estate is a market. Is it the market? Real estate down on the South Shore, it's a market, but Halifax, the big city, maybe that's where I need to be focusing. So when it comes to, I've given business plan classes as well, when it comes to the finances, if you think you're going to get 20 people, you might get 2. Always do a financial plan, understand where your profits are going to come from, understand where your costs are going to be, and then throw it out of the window and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time.
Well, I think in your case, you've already identified a market that maybe is unique to you, is the vacation rentals, where people in Atlanta may be making a decision to visit Nova Scotia. And, how do you help people make a confident rental decision? I would imagine some of those rentals are for the entire summer.
Some for the entire summer, some on a weekly basis, some on a daily
Weekly?
basis.
Yeah. So how do you help your clients, those that may be property managers or property owners or real estate agents that are representing the property, to be able to, I guess if I'm a property manager and I'm pitching to represent your property, I probably want to walk in and say, and here's a tool that we're going to use to help rent your property, so that we increase the number of rentals, the amount of money that you get for your rentals, et cetera. So it sounds like that's probably, Atlanta is not a vacation rental market. If you go to Miami, if you go to other markets that they have that, that's unique. And it sounds like you may be unlucky in that you're in a market where the houses are 150,000, with some that are in the $3 to $4 million range, but you may be very lucky in terms of that you happen to live in a vacation rental market. And which kind of begs the question, without asking you specifically about pricing, have you given some thought about renting your models because they're evergreen to be used on an ongoing basis rather than just selling them outright?
Yes, and it's one of the elements that I've been through the forums and I've been trying to figure it out. And there was one individual who he was just testing out a hosting package whereby the upfront cost would be minimal, but then there'd be a $10 or $20 monthly fee. So that gives sustainable passive income, which is great. I mean, you need to find a certain number of those clients. There is going to be a little bit of churn, a little bit of fall off, a little bit of bringing on, but that is a model that is, I think, more sustainable. Less upfront cost, but a recurring monthly cost.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I would describe that as you'd be willing to shoot the property for free if you could make back your whatever if you wanted the $500 as an example, as long as you could get that back in maybe 18 months, and then after that, ching ching, it's monthly recurring revenue for you, passive income. Though I would always describe that as you have to charge something up front, because if you don't charge, then next week they're going to call you and say, we moved the chair from the living room to the bedroom. Could you come in and reshoot it? We've changed the environment. So you have to be willing, you have to charge at least enough that if they wanted to call you back, once a week or once a month, once a quarter, once a year to refresh, that you'd be happy, might not be thrilled, but you'd be willing to, like, oh yeah, you want me to come out and refresh? Happy to do that, because you're really interested in that recurring revenue. And in a rental, it's really a good question, because does the rental come down while it's rented? Well, maybe not, because they're still trying to work on renting it when somebody's not there. Even if it's a long-term rental, they're still got to be thinking about the next year, and perhaps you can help them, get more money sooner for even in that farther out time frame. So
exactly, it's a cash flow model, but with regards to, I would call it, you've got to give value to your offering. So there was I can't remember what it was. It was a reassuringly expensive was the catchphrase for a specific product. I think it was a beer, actually, in the UK. And you have to give value to what you're selling. If you pitch it too cheap, you're actually undermining that value. If it's like buying a watch from Casio. The build quality is slightly different. Let me think of a different example. But there's a lot of perceived value in the price.
Perfume.
Of a product. Perfume, for example. So you have to make your product, you have to give it a value. So that, in my opinion, there has to be an upfront cost, and then you can negotiate the hosting fee with the client. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's something I'm wrestling with at the moment, I have to be honest.
Reassuringly expensive. I guess the term I use is you're worth what you tell people you're worth. So if you think you're worth this, tell people you're worth that. If you think you're worth this, I'm saying, oh well, maybe you're leaving some money on the table, and maybe you won't even get the order because people have a perception that if it's so inexpensive that it really doesn't have any value. So I guess the short answer on that is you can always come down in price, but it's you don't usually find a client that says, wow, that is just not enough. You really need to charge me more.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the models I read into, it was the real estate one with payment. There was a monthly fee and then payment on the sale. He built in an upfront percentage based on the risk of doing the monthly fee as opposed to charging it out on top, much as you would an interest payment. And there is a lot of risk involved with either A, not charging enough, or B, charging on a recurring basis.
Yeah, certainly there's more ways to charge than just by square foot or square meter, perhaps, where you are. So I'm particularly excited to hear how someone that has an MBA, that has been an entrepreneur, that's worked in a variety of fields, brings all that collective knowledge to say, how might I charge for hotels or vacation rentals or boats or RVs or whatever it might be? Because as soon as you move away from residential real estate, it really opens this opportunity for monthly recurring revenue or annual recurring revenue, which probably makes it easier for somebody to make a buying decision because you're not asking them for a huge amount up front. Though I'm always about, it's a good idea to ask for a huge amount up front because, like perfume, I asked about perfume because it's obviously a classic business model that often the ingredients in the bottle can be literally the same, but someone has figured out how to command 10 times, 20 times, 100 times what the one who's paying at the bottom, because the perception is all about the brand and the value, even if the ingredients are the same or similar or whatever it might be. So
I completely agree. A perfume I've never seen the point of. I don't wear a lot of it. It evaporates. It literally evaporates. That's the whole point of perfume, is to pay for something incredibly expensive that evaporates.
All right. So here you have two guys talking about perfume. Maybe not the exact right, not the right, business model, but the point is be reassuringly expensive, that what you're doing actually has value, as opposed to just giving it away at some de minimis amount of money. And I think you'd probably agree with something like this, is to say, if you could be busy 2 days a week and make the same amount of money that you could 5 days a week, you'd rather do 2 days a week so that you had all this extra time for marketing, promotion, advertising, meeting people, etc. Because otherwise, you're going to be on a treadmill at some low price in order to stay busy 5 days a week, and then you'll never have a chance to actually maybe increase your price over time to new clients.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think with regards to the business model, I was told once, be the first, or be the best, or be different. Now, we're amongst the first, or in my opinion, try and be all three. There are going to be a lot of people coming on the market. So yeah, we're the first at the moment, but we won't be for long. Be the best. There's a lot of people who are going to be coming into this with very little knowledge. It's very easy to come on board. So make yourself stand out by being the best at what it is you do, whether it be a one-stop shop for a variety of products, whether it be focusing in on one specific niche market, but make sure you be the best. And if you can be different, well, find something that no one else is doing. So, and I know that the staging side of things, I think, is a fairly unique element there, and PhotoSpark definitely have a niche there that makes them stand out. And I know how many people use them, and is Archeologic, I believe,
yes,
uses. So they were also very open to talking about the markets and how they see
for those who are kind of like Archeologic, a service provider that provides what I would say probably their specialty is if you have an apartment building and they're one floor and all those apartments are empty and maybe they haven't even been built yet. How do you have a three-dimensional model at an affordable price that shows off apartments that are to be built?
Correct.
And you can either order that in a subscription model from Archeologic, or you can talk to a service partner like PhotoSpark so that you can order one and done, rather than you've started a subscription if that's not a thing that you plan to do on an ongoing basis. Or you're not an expert at actually staging a space, is to engage someone that actually is an expert in using the Archeologic platform to create a virtually staged space. So. Right. So anyway, I digress. So
that's good. Good to get the word.
You haven't gotten your Matterport camera yet. You've ordered your camera. So tell me about all the things you're thinking about that you still need to do in order to kind of get started with your business.
Well, I followed your list. I went and I thought, okay, what else am I going to need to be able to run this camera effectively? So I spent quite a lot of money on Google, which I had anticipated doing.
This is gear and accessories that you've been.
Gear and accessories.
Yeah.
So I mean, without the tripod, without the quick release, without the leveler, those sort of things, you know, you're not going to get the quality that you need. A lot of eBay, Kijiji up here in Canada, and also I'm looking forward to learning how to use it. You know, it's not a point and shoot. There are nuances behind it. I'm looking forward to practicing on my own properties and practicing and really becoming an expert in creating Matterport areas.
Mm-hmm. I heard properties. Does that mean you have some cottages that you rent out?
Yes, it is.
So that's fantastic. So you'll be able to have case studies that you can create for your own properties to show other folks that own cottages how you use it to sell or rent them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah. I've always gone on the opinion that I never sell anything I wouldn't use myself.
Okay.
So I mean, from what I've seen, I've gone into this with my eyes as wide open as possible. And I'm looking forward to using this camera and finding out what its limitations and what its possibilities are.
Mm-hmm. Where are you with your website?
Website, I've just got a holding page at the moment.
What's that called? Many folks will see this video. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017. But at some point, hopefully in a month or two, your site will be live, and so they might want to be able to check it out. So you're holding the domain name. It's
immersivetech.ca.
Immersivetech.ca, and that's spelled
TECH. Immersive, IMMERSIVE, tech, TECH.ca.
CA for Canada. Okay, great. So how long until that website's live? What are you just like crazy busy right now trying to think of all the things that you need to do to get ready to launch?
I am, yes. And I'm also going around and looking for other websites that have offerings. I built the website map today. So I'm going to start going in and experimenting with themes. I'm just going to build a WordPress site. There is a site, can't remember what it is now. It's got 360 in the title. It's another forum member.
Yeah, it's probably 360.tours. 360.tours.
I would have to have a look again, but his website is fantastic.
Maybe you're talking about a Matterport service provider, and they have three in it. Okay, yeah. So I'm talking about a service provider. You're actually talking about a Matterport service provider rather than perhaps a tool or solution. Okay.
Correct. Yes. Okay. It's a Matterport service provider. I love the way that he's laid his website out. It's very concise. It's very clear. And he's got a great app that he's used, or a great plugin that he's developed, which allows him to put tours in a mosaic feature. So I've already downloaded that plugin, and I'm going to be doing some experiments.
Yeah, is the plugin WP3D Models WordPress plugin or something else?
I would have to double check it. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. So WP3D Models helps you, since you have a WordPress site, and enable you to display Matterport spaces on a map, and then be able to sort by category to say, oh, okay, I'd like to look at in Nova Scotia rental properties for sale. You mentioned hotels. I'd like to look at category of hotels. You mentioned a museum, so it gives you some filter for someone who's looking at it to say, this is how I'd like to filter it. Also helps you tremendously with search engine optimization. So just an example would be, let's say you do 100 Matterport spaces in the course of a year. And incidentally, your business plan, do you have any idea how many you hope to do in a year? Is that 2 a week? Are you doing more than that, less than that?
I anticipate it changing significantly. I also anticipate some serious seasonality within this. So I have a benchmark, but it's really a little vague at the moment. I have to be honest.
Okay. All right, but
Um,
just to give you an example of SEO, so let's say that you in the next year you do 100 Matterport spaces, and let's say each of those tours gets 500 views, just to pick a number
mhm.
as a starting point. That would be I'm sorry, what did I say? Did I say 200 or 100? 100 times 500 views is 50,000 views, and if you're using WP3D models, you'll get the organic search benefit of the 50,000 views going to your website rather than to Matterport. So would highly encourage you to take a look at the tool, particularly since you seem to be comfortable with implementing a WordPress site. So what else is on your before I can officially launch, what else you got? What else do you have to do, and how long is this all going to take you before we can go to immersivetech.ca and see what you're up to?
Well, I want to get some examples up there. I want to talk to the other service providers in Nova Scotia. And I want to become proficient with the camera and be confident that I can offer the clients the sort of solution that they're looking for. I mean, I would like to start with a few friends, colleagues, the people who I've been speaking to already, and getting scans up within the next month or so.
Okay.
With regards to...
So by January 1st, you would expect to be up and running. I imagine you'll get into the holidays. No one's going to engage you to scan during Christmas and New Year. So maybe by January 2nd, you plan to hit the ground running.
I'm intending January 1st to hit the ground running.
Okay, cool. What are the three most exciting things? You're waiting for your Matterport camera to arrive. You know, when you and you're probably pretty excited. Is there like three things that you're most excited about as you look to your future as a Matterport service provider?
I mean, yes, there are. I've been working within a company for a while, so I'm excited about starting up my own company, and with something that's innovative. And anything can be innovative, but this, I really, with the technology and the way things are moving, I really would love to get. And I have to say, I was looking into Google Street View earlier today and about all the possibilities. I would love to get Mahone Bay, my hometown here. It's very, very picturesque. It's got a number of unique festivals. I want to get that on the map as being the first town to have every single store and every single shop front within Google Street View and with a Matterport 3D tour. I mean, if that isn't a selling fact for a small town that's trying to encourage tourism, I don't know what is. So that's something that I'm excited about.
So you're excited about that Matterport has announced and will implement this winter publishing the conversion of Matterport Spaces 3D Tour to Google Street Map.
Correct.
So I think I'm hearing three things. One, you're excited about having your own company. This is new for you since you've really been an employee for some time. Excited about innovation and excited about the potential to offer both Matterport and Google Street View as soon as Matterport offers makes it easy, fast, and simple to convert a Matterport space to Google Street View. On the what keeps you up at night kind of question, aside from your three kids and maybe the captain that may keep you up at night, what are the three things perhaps that give you some angst or concern about starting your own business with innovation and moving into mapping your town in Google Street View?
Well, you certainly touched on the biggest one so far. It's the fact that I'm moving into an industry that I ultimately know very little about when it comes to real estate. So it's going to be a case of, okay, I'm investing a lot of money in the camera. I'm investing a lot of money in my own time and a lot of opportunity time into a business that I personally believe has a huge future. And that will be what's most exciting is that it keeps evolving Technology always evolves. It always begets something that is, who knows where the next one goes. It'll be, you know, GoPros that are 360 while you're wearing them as you go down the ski slope.
Which is true today. So incidentally, when I bought my Matterport camera, July of 2014, there really was one solution. Today, there are 70 cameras in this space. If you go up to the We Get Around Network forum, the tab that says cameras, someplace there it says cameras, you'll see that we curate a list of all the cameras, and we're a little behind. The list has 70, I think, where there's actually 72 or 73. We still have 2 or 3 more to add. It's hard to keep up with them. So I think maybe I've heard 2 potential things to keep you up at night, aside from your 3 kids, small kids, is you're pursuing as part of your business the real estate space, residential, maybe commercial real estate, which is new to you, technology that's moving rather rapidly. So hopefully you want to know that you've jumped on the right horse in terms of technology. And so I'd ask a third. What else is keeping you up at night while you're waiting for your Matterport camera to arrive?
I think it comes down to the business plan. And okay, so I've spoken to a few people. Are they going to follow through? I know from my experience that 90% of all potentials don't come through.
Did I lose you? Did I lose you? Liam? Liam, you just froze. Oh, Liam.
Is that me or is that you?
Ah, good. Okay, that maybe that was on my end. So I'm glad you're still with us. So what I did hear is that you have some angst related to if 100% of the people that you've already talked to are excited but don't go through, you kind of are figuring, well, maybe 2 out of 10 that say they're super interested will actually turn into business for you. But I think I'm hearing you have some angst about, oh gosh, what about those 2 I was counting on out of 10 that say, oh, well, yeah, I think
time, or yeah, maybe I've got another property or something along those lines.
Okay, all right.
I mean, that's the same with every business model. And I hope I have done enough research and have got enough ideas out there that to mitigate the impact that would have. So certainly I think, as with starting up any business, am I doing the right thing? Is the market that I believe is out there, is it really out there? And I'm fairly secure in my research and my understanding that it is. And is this investment, am I going to get my investment back? Mm-hmm. So, but that's true with any new business.
Yeah, certainly. Hearing you talk earlier about your career path, entrepreneur, willing to try new things. You're willing to take a risk where others perhaps might not. I think one of those traits of being an entrepreneur is being optimistic. So you probably have a lot of positive energy running through you to say, I'm a smart person. I'll figure out how to make this work.
Yeah, that's an element of it. This is the first time I've done it with a family, though. I've started up a number of businesses when I was single. Now I have responsibilities. So yeah, it's the family side of things. There's more than just me in this. So that's where the element of risk comes in. But again, as you said, if you don't try, you don't know.
Well, your kids, I know, are too young to say, "Daddy, we think you're doing the right thing." But how's the captain of the ship? How's she feel about you going the course of starting your own business rather than perhaps the quote security of accepting employment?
Well, I've been helping her set up her physiotherapy clinic. So we're both self-employed ultimately. She's excited to see how excited I am about the potential of the market.
That's cool. Are you going to give her a family rate on when you scan her offices or space?
I tested out my wide angle lens there, so
Okay.
it's that'll be the follow up, and depending on what the tax returns say at the end of the year, we'll figure out what the most efficient way of doing that is.
Okay. I know I have just one more question for you. Did you have any questions for me? Or
Just
anything that you wanted to share that you feel like I should have asked you? And I guess that's the question. What question should I have asked you that you haven't answered?
um, I think you've asked me pretty much. You covered pretty much every element that I've thought about. The one thing that I did want to mention to you, to those exactly who are looking at investing in this, when I spoke to Matterport, I actually asked, what about refurbished cameras? Because I don't want to spend 4 grand out of the gate, which is rather more in Canadian dollars. And I've actually, just to test the market with a view to getting to the new one, I've actually bought a refurbished Matterport Pro. So there are more cost-effective options. There are, as I understand, there are a number of second-hand ones out there in the US. There aren't in Canada. But just ask, see if there are refurbished ones. If you're just thinking about getting into the market, there are certain benefits to the Pro 2, as I understand it. But where I am right now, the Pro 1, I think, will give me enough to get started and evaluate the market, and then I can upgrade.
Cool. So the last question I had for you is, I had some calculators at the top. You briefly touched on it. It sounded like you used some. Did you happen to find the We Get Around Network Forum calculators helpful at all in this?
Yeah, they were great. There were a few things there that actually PQ'd me into looking for more information. You did mention on one of them, I believe, one of the calculators mentioned, how much are you going to charge for the 2D floor plans? And I was like, oh, yeah, I've got to look into this. Let's find out more about this. That was right at the beginning of my research. And also, I believe you mentioned.
So that would have been a calculator of how much money can I make as a Matterport service provider, and then some of the questions are not just about Matterport, but how much are you going to charge for photos, video, aerial, floor plans? It sounds like those were thought starters to say, oh, well, maybe I should offer that.
Yeah, no, that absolutely was. So yeah, no, it was very helpful. And again, how much do I need to invest? There was another one of those for that, and that gave me a good idea as well.
Yeah, so I think in the case of the calculator is how much is it going to cost for me to start out as a Matterport service provider, while we have the default setting for the camera to be the price of the Matterport Pro 2. I think in your instance, you probably were able to move the slide to a lower number because you were buying a refurbished camera. I mean, was that sufficient to start, or did you still create a spreadsheet and started to add more stuff?
I still create a spreadsheet and I figure out different ways, which marketing tool am I going to use for which customer base, what am I going to charge, and so yeah, I'm a bit of an Excel geek when it comes to that. I enjoy building Excel models.
Well, you said MBA, so I just figured Excel spreadsheets comes with that. But hopefully that calculator and how much is it going to cost to start a Matterport service provider business, how much can I make as a Matterport service provider, were all things that maybe help give you some ballparks to start out.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that was one of the first things I played with when I was first considering the idea.
Yeah. Cool. So, Liam, thank you for visiting today.
No, my pleasure. Thank you very much. It's been great to chat to you.
It's I'm so thrilled to talk to you. I to kind of learn the customer journey for someone who is bought a camera but hasn't yet received it, and all the kinds of things that went into thinking about making the purchase, and some of the things you're thinking about that you still need to do in order to get ready for your January 1st, 2018 launch. Thank you for being a member of the We Get Around Network Forum as well.
Well, it's been great, and you'll be seeing me on the forum as well, I'm sure.
Terrific. I know you've already started posting. Please remind me of your member name in the forum is?
I believe it's Liam Tayler. I didn't make up anything. I wasn't very imaginative with that, I'm afraid.
Okay, so at Liam Tayler in the forum. And Thank you all for watching. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Monday, November 20th, 2017, and you've been watching WGAN-TV live at 5 from Nova Scotia and Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Liam, thank you again. I've stopped the recording, and we're going to go ahead, and we're still live in the forum, but I just want to mention to the forum members that by tomorrow, if you missed any portion of today's program, we will post it in the discussion in the We Get Around Network forum.
No, and if anyone's got any suggestions or corrections for me, then please let me know. I'd be happy to. I'm always open to taking advice. So that'd be great to talk to other forum members.
Sounds great. Liam, thanks again, and thanks to your wife and 3 kids for sharing you for this time. I noticed we didn't actually get a chance to hear your VP of Operations, VP of Marketing, VP of Customer Support, but it's probably dinner time for the kids right now.
They're in the bath now. I can hear them.
You can hear them. All right. I know you probably want to go visit them in the bath. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Dan. Great to talk.
Thanks, Liam. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Liam, feel free to drop off. I'm going to just let everybody know that tomorrow on WGAN TV Live at 5 on Tuesday, November 21st, we're going to have a representative of QPix, the QPix platform that creates 3-dimensional model, or should say a walkthrough experience using any 360 camera for capture. Uses a process called photogrammetry, whatever that is. So we'll learn about QPix platform for newbies. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, November 21st, 2017 on WGAN TV Live at 5. Thanks again for being a member of the We Get Around Network Forum. And I know this week in the United States, so we're all celebrating Thanksgiving. And I just want to let you know that I am thankful that you've discovered the We Get Around Network Forum. I'm thankful that you've joined the We Get Around Network Forum, the free forum. For those of you that have joined as a basic, standard, or premium member, which actually makes the whole forum possible, thank you for being a basic, standard, or premium member. And if we don't get a chance to chat between now and Thanksgiving, I hope you have a very nice Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you, and bye-bye.